All right. Whew. Breathe easy, Vikings fans. Minnesota Vikings pull off the W at
Let's
home.
go.
22-17 against San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco was favored by 7.5, I believe. Or I think it dropped to 6.5 with some of the injuries. First Vikings home win of the 2023 regular season. And what a better way to do it. Monday Night Football. Vikings, historically, night games haven't been their friend, especially, I mean, obviously the narrative about Kirk Cousins when it comes to night games. He was I think he has like 2 wins on Monday Night Football, 2
2 out of
whatever.
8, I think it was.
Yeah. But either way, he got the win tonight. Exciting, man. Just while we're waiting for some people to roll in here, how we feeling?
Dude, excited because I mean, prior to this game, you're feeling very. You don't know how to feel about this season. Like, you don't know if you want the Vikings to win. Like, I mean, any fan, you kind of always want the Vikings to win, but secretly you're like, if they lose, though, we can go grab our quarterback of the future. Well, I mean, a lot of us said, like, it really came down to this game. And if we were to win this game, we might turn everything around this season. I mean, this was that big of a deal because now we're 3-4. We go and beat the Packers. We're 4-4. We're back at even. And then we got an easy schedule, and JJ's not even here. Exactly. So coming into this game, man, it was huge, and it wasn't even. And I don't want to get into it too big. Yeah, Addison. Hey, what up, YVP?
Yeah,
YVP in the building. Addison and Bynum are the heroes, dude. Absolutely, and we're gonna dive into them. Obviously coming in here, Kirk Cousins masterclass. It was just an overall great performance, and that's the big thing about this game. It's not just the fact that it's San Francisco, is we haven't had a game since Packers of week 1 last year where we seen our offense move the ball like this for all 4 quarters. Every single game last year, it's always the only time we move the ball like this is when we're losing or we're behind in points every single time. And that's what's the biggest thing for me for this game and moving forward on this season, to have actual optimism for the rest of the season, was that we saw the Vikings come out with Kirk Cousins and Kevin O'Connell and push the ball down the field from start to finish. Something we haven't seen. I don't even know if we had a single 3 and out in this entire game. Which is really like that at all. I don't think we did. So I think that was the biggest thing, is winning this game was the difference between actually turning this season around and actually making some sort of playoff push or anything. This was a big step forward, and we needed to win this game. Like I said, 3-4, go to Green Bay next week. We win. If we win that game, 4-4, and we really have turned the season around. It definitely looks a step away from the idea of us losing and getting an early draft pick. And if we want that quarterback of the future, we're just going to have to trade up for him at this point.
And that's the thing. It's like, okay, and I'll be straight with everybody in here right now. Like, I love football more than anything. It's my favorite sport. I love the Vikings. I ride the emotional roller coaster, but I'm not going to lie to you. Over the last month, I was so just like whatever about this team that I didn't really like care too much. Like, I was like emotionless watching these games, but this game is what I needed to bring life back into me and bring life back into my Vikings fandom. And I'm going to start it at the top here, right? Let's just start. We don't have a ton of losers to talk about, so we're just going to make this a very positive show. I want to start right at the top with 2 guys that have been heavily scrutinized this season, one heavily scrutinized for a lot longer. So let's start with the leader of this team, number 8 at quarterback. Love him or hate him, this may have been one of the better games I've seen him play. And yes, I see a lot of comments in here how well the offensive line played, and that is absolute factual. And let's be honest, this offensive line has looked good in previous weeks as well. They've definitely been playing a lot better. But Kirk Cousins, man, stood in there, made the throws, 35 of 45, 378, 8.4 yards per completion, 2 touchdowns, only 1 interception at the very beginning of the game, which was it was a bad throw. Addison could have also brought it in. So, you blame it on a couple of them. But obviously, Kirk, you're the guy with the ball in your hands. But man, everything else he did tonight was phenomenal. At the end of near the end of the game there, when everyone thought he was sacked, he found a way to step up out of it and make a throw for a first down to Powell, which we'll talk about Powell as well in this game. But man, Kirk Cousins, I saw someone say a masterclass. This was probably one of the better games I've seen him play against that defense who, say what you will, yes, the offense was missing some pieces, which we'll talk about in a bit here, but the defense was at full strength, full power. And Nick Bosa barely had an impact on this game. So you give credit to the tackles for sure. But man, if if you're a Kirk hater and you can't give him credit for this game, you're in too deep. Like, I mean, Jamie, me and you feel differently about Kirk. I know you're like, I mean, I think a lot of people are ready to move on to the next guy, but you know, you've always been more on like I'm not sure, like not negative, but like he's got something to prove. But this game, it has to show you something, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah, like you said, it wasn't the thing about Kirk Cousins is obviously, you know, we've ran our course with him. I think at the end of the season, I personally still think you go find your quarterback of the future, whatever. But Kirk Cousins stepped up huge in this game. And again, that's the thing since we've had Kirk Cousins. And I mentioned it earlier in this stream here, is I get worried about him being conservative or stretches of his game. You know, it's a lot of dump passes, whatever that has to do with the play calling as well. But this was a game that we just saw from start to finish. It didn't need to come back from playing from behind. We were in front this entire game and we never let them come back. And that is the difference between any game I've seen since Kevin O'Connell's been head coach, other than the week 1 of the Packers last season. So that's what's so big about that for me. And Kirk Cousins, you know, there's a couple plays. I know he missed Addison in the back of the end zone, and there's a couple plays, but outside of that, he had an amazing game. I mean, his third down percentage was what? And his deep ball percentage was had to be like 9 for 9 for 180 something yards or whatever.
On third down, you mean?
No, well, both third down and for
third down. He was
deep ball as well
on third down. Absolute nails on third down.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I mean, kudos to him. No problem. And hey, everybody in here, kudos for everybody in here. I mean, we've had a hard season so far, and we get something to really get excited about. The Chicago win and the Carolina win, it just wasn't good enough. All the fans out here who have been optimistic this entire time, you know, hats off to them, because we did something that could maybe to actually turn around our season. And again, it's not just because we beat the San Francisco 49ers, who's arguably the best team in the NFL and probably our worst matchup that we possibly have, but the way we did it is what we need to see from this team going forward if we want to be a good team. Hey, and as I said that, what's going on, Gomez? That's our guy in here. But yeah, dude, I am so excited for the Vikings to do that. But yeah, let's keep rolling down this list, because we do have some winners, including some of the.
We got to talk about the coach first before.
Jump in there.
Okay, before we get into the players and have the impact they had, it all starts at the top. And Kevin O'Connell, I have been harsh on Kevin O'Connell this season because I want him to be successful, because I think he is the right leader for this football team. And you and I were talking the whole game, like we were waiting for the aggressiveness from a young offensive coordinator, and we were waiting for play calling that was consistent and play calling that allowed you to grind out some first downs, possess the football, but march your way down the field. And we did that tonight. I mean, what did they say total offense wise? 450 yards of offense tonight, around there. Phenomenal. And we'll talk about Jordan Addison more, but he designed plays for Jordan Addison, and
huge.
It's just the way that this offense was ran tonight. Creatively running the football. Sometimes maybe you tried running and throwing some screens a little bit too much. It is what it is. But I mean, he was creative with running the football, which led to play action, which we did. Third downs, we were nails. We had good play calls on third downs, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. Like this, this was the Kevin O'Connell we need to see for this football team. And it doesn't matter what side of even the quarterback debate you're on. If you want Kirk Cousins to stay here, if you don't, no matter who's playing quarterback, you need to see that this is the coach that can lead your team into the future. And he showed that to me tonight. I was super impressed with play calling and with, the way he managed the football game, everything. He was aggressive. It was awesome. And Jordan Addison, man, I'm going to let you get into, because I know Jordan Addison was your boy all the way from pre-draft process when we were looking at that stuff, but we were waiting for it. I think you and I had both talked about how we were going to see the Jordan Addison breakout game before JJ got back. And we finally saw it tonight. I want to let you take the floor on Jordan Addison, because I know Jordan Addison is your guy.
Dude, Jordan Addison is insane, and I want to hit up Jay Baller out here with all the letters and stuff. I feel it, man. That was a good win, and we needed that. But Jordan Addison, MVP of this game. He was my number one wide receiver coming into this draft. I talked so glowingly about him and his telling people, trying to convince people that he has insane balance, which sounds really weird, but we are seeing it. And this is a player, what was his actual stats here? Let me find them here. 10 receptions, or 10 targets, 7 receptions, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns. Not to mention, he was also wide open in the back of the end zone for another touchdown that Kirk actually did miss. And he draw 2 huge pass interference in this plays. And I was talking about I was talking about his balance here, and let me go to this right here, and let's actually take a peek at what I'm talking about here, because this is what Addison, boom, stays on his feet, steals the ball from his hands, and stays on his feet. Look at just how does he always stay on his feet every single time?
Yep,
every single time. So I mean, I'm so excited about Jordan Addison and having his big game. And like I said, it's not just him catching the touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns this season. And I'm pretty sure, I think Randy Moss last week, Jordan Addison was like in second place behind Randy Moss. Randy Moss had 6 touchdowns in his first 6 games, something like that. And now Jordan Addison has 6 in his first 7 games. So that's huge on Jordan Addison, and I'm so excited. So moving forward, I mean, I've seen some people talking about in the chat, and we did this without JJ. We can find out how to use this offense without Justin Jefferson, and we can just bring them back in, and it's going to be almost new and improved. I mean, hopefully, and yeah, thank God Jordan Addison didn't get hurt. Yeah, when they said he went to the locker room and it was just a cramp, I was so excited about that. But yeah, that was just Jordan Addison. There's no question, MVP of this game. The way that long touchdown right before half is exactly what we need to see from this offense. But the other pass catchers are definitely winners in this game too. You got TJ Hawkinson, 12 targets, 11 receptions for 86 yards. And what everybody's talking about, give Brandon Powell his flowers. He's doing exactly what Reagor was supposed to be for us last week, and we're seeing it. 5 targets, 4 receptions for 64 yards. Man, you almost like we've been talking about a lot of KJ Osborne still had a solid game, but you got to even be looking at Powell a little bit and being like, could Powell be the wide receiver 3 even behind Jordan Addison? I don't know. I think there's some questions there because Jordan Powell came up huge. He had some huge catches in this. Man, the wide receivers, it's Jordan Addison MVP, but then you got TJ Hawkinson and Powell is up there with him as well. It was fantastic from our wide receivers and then tight end pass catchers.
Yeah, and then let's jump to the flip side of the ball now, because so here's the thing: you're gonna, no matter what site you're on, you're gonna see 49ers chirping in like, well, we didn't have Trent Williams. Oh, we didn't have Deebo Samuel. You guys got lucky. It doesn't matter. This offense is still explosive without him. I mean, Brandon Ayuk still 5 catches, 57 yards. Christian McCaffrey, 15 carries, 45 yards and a touchdown, as well as 3 receptions, 51 yards and a touchdown. George Kittle, 5 for 78, no touchdowns. But I mean, at the end of the day, I am still going to sit here and say this was a very solid defensive performance by Brian Flores and the defense. Namely, I mean, we'll talk about. We need to give Cam Bynum his own time. We'll talk about this after. But I want to talk about the fact that up until that, was that the second to last 49ers drive or the third last where they scored their touchdown? We held them relatively in check. There was no really big plays. We held them pretty solidly. They didn't have any huge plays by their playmakers until, of course, I mean, obviously Kittle had a huge catch, and then McCaffrey had the 35-yard score. But up until all that happened, we held this defense, that offense in check. That's a talented offense, even without Deebo. Yeah, and Trent Williams, yes, that makes a difference. But Brock Purdy looked pretty solid, and we got him off his game tonight. We got some pressure on him. We forced him into 2 pretty bad throws for interceptions. And so, I mean, I think this team needs to take that as a win, that you held a solid offense in check for the most part. Like I said, there was the one big touchdown play, and outside of that,
by Christian McCaffrey.
They dinked and dunked a little bit, but outside of that, this defense, I thought they played pretty well. A few frustrating plays, but again, it's a whole new defense they're still trying to learn, and you got to give him credit. Then Cam Bynum coming up with 2 ginormous interceptions. And Cam Bynum, after last year, there was a lot of people down on him saying, like, I think he's going to lose his job to Lewis Seen, or he's going to lose his job to Metellus now that Metellus is back, whatever. He's been playing. He's been absolutely balling this season. In this game, 2 huge interceptions, to one of them to close out the game. Absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal, man.
Definitely. And you were talking about us. I mean, we held Christian outside of Christian McCaffrey's long catch and run. He had 15 attempts for 45 yards. We left him at 3 yards a carry. That's huge for someone like him. That's huge. CMC, even coming off of his injury, he still looked good out there, even besides that. So that's huge for our defense. And Cam Bynum, he had Cam Bynum had the forced fumble and 2 interceptions last week. And I have to bring this up. Oh no, was it last week or the week before?
It was a couple weeks ago.
On Bleacher Report, we had someone in the comments saying I was making casual takes because I was saying Cam Bynum is having a good year this year. And Buddy comes out for a forced fumble and 2 interceptions. The first interceptions to change the tide of this game. It was the difference maker of them coming down and leading this game, and then the game sealing interception. Clutch. Cam Bynum is probably not just has a great safety this year, but he is going to probably be our safety of the future. And we got to be extremely happy about him as well. In my opinion, it's the MVPs, even though Kirk Cousins played really well, my MVPs are Jordan Addison and Bynum.
I think that's fair. So before we'll keep talking positive.
Yeah,
we do.
It's all good. I didn't take it personally or nothing, but I wanted to make sure I said it because it's crazy. Because Cam Bynum doesn't deserve that because he is having such a great year.
Yep. So we got to slip a little bit of negativity in here because it didn't need to come down to those interceptions at the end of the day. Two red zone opportunities that were left that ended up being field goals, and obviously Greg Joseph could put him on a down. I'm a big Greg Joseph defender, but missing that 50-yarder to make the game a little bit tighter than it needed to be. But it is what it is at the end of the day. He still nailed that 54-yarder earlier on. He did miss an extra point as well. But it is what it is at the end of the day. Yeah, it's just the red zone play calling wasn't great. I didn't love the 2 tush-push chances in a row. Kirk just ain't that guy for that. I understand you want to get that first rushing touchdown of the year, but it is what it is. But it's just I don't love the play calling in the red zone. And obviously the one Addison one was good, but Kirk obviously bad throw, overthrew him. It is probably his only bad throw of the night. But yeah, red zone play calling be a little bit better. You want to capitalize on those opportunities. At that point, you could have actually absolutely stomped on this team and made the score look a lot better than it was. But that honestly, at this point, that's nitpicking. Overall with this game, it felt, and that's the thing, just watching this football game, if you weren't a fan of either team, quarterback don't squat 600, can't run himself. Honestly, that's kind of the case. But like, if you're not a fan of either of these teams, you're watching this game, this was an entertaining and well-played football game. It was absolutely fantastic. But if you're a Vikings fan, you just feel a little bit better. This was, like you said, this really felt like that complete game that we had been waiting for, and against a quality opponent. Like, this is Kevin O'Connell's signature win, and people are going to try to downplay it. Like I said earlier, no Trent Williams, no Debo, but they still had Christian McCaffrey. They still had Brock Purdy, who's been playing phenomenal. They still have all the pieces on that defense. They're still coached by Kyle Shanahan. That's a good football team. Like, that's a football team that is really probably still going to be favored to make the Super Bowl this year. And the Vikings, the Vikings have not been good at home. This was their first win. And they brought the best team in the league into their stadium, and they all played them, and they won. And that's what happened, and that's what matters at the end of the day. Well-played football game, well-coached football game. This is what this team can be, and this is what this team needs to be if they want to make a run. And next week, and here's the thing, you cannot go into the Green Bay Packer game and have that letdown. Like, if you go into that game and you play and you revert back to how you were playing a couple weeks ago and you lose that football game, that's going to be such a huge letdown. Like, this is your momentum. This is your momentum-taking game. Grab it, go forward, win this next game, get JJ back, and the sky's the limit for this team. Absolutely. And we're in second place in the North and 2 games out. It's still in reach. People don't want to believe it. And I'm sure when we go on our next live stream on GG Sports Podcast, which if you're not subscribed, you should go do that, by the way, and follow us here on Bleacher Report. There's going to be people in the chat saying this team still isn't that good. This team can't go anywhere. You can't look at it that way. This is the win that could turn the season around. This is the pivot point. This is it.
Yeah.